there, Kimberly Cortez, Expedition Love. I wanted to take some time this week to very quickly back up just a little bit and talk a little bit further about acceptance and tolerance. Because the truth is, I feel this subject is so radically important, especially with all the division we're seeing in the world today. I really feel that we need to just slow down a little bit, go a little bit deeper, and hopefully open ourselves to contemplating the importance of acceptance and tolerance in our lives so that we can work for the greatest good, agape love. So I wanted to let you know, personally, I think that there is one root cause for disunity and division. I believe that root cause is hate. Now I realize there are a lot of different issues that can divide us, okay? Issues like religion and social status and jealousy, race, sexuality. All of these things are issues that can deeply divide us. But the truth is, if you really think about it, it's actually hate that stems that division. Differences don't need to divide us. Differences don't need to separate us. We can learn very easily to tolerate our differences for the greatest good. But when we won't do that, those differences lead us to hate. So in my book, in my mind, it always comes back to hate. And really, at the end of the day, if we want to change this, we simply have to become willing to lay aside those differences and see the person, to begin to understand who they are, to begin to remember that they are a human being just like us. And although we're different, we are both made in the image of God. And we are both meant to shine despite our differences. This is still true. So coming to that place where you remember who you are and who another person is so radically important. It puts them back into a place in your mind, in your psyche, where you're willing now to see them, to hear them, to understand them. It changes things. Suddenly you're not so focused on the differences, focused on where you stand and where they stand. Suddenly you're looking at them for who they are. A human being made by God, a child of God, and you are connected to them. I am connected to you. You are connected to me, no matter how different we are. And when you allow your vantage point to shift and change and to see yourself first and foremost, because remember, we have to love others like we love ourselves. So if we can't see ourselves that way and realize that we need to love and understand ourselves, then how are we going to give that to somebody else? So it starts there. Stretch your vantage point there, and now you'll be able to apply it to others and see them for their true creation, a beautiful, wonderful creation of God. And from that vantage point, from that place of humble softening, you suddenly become willing. You become willing to educate yourself to somebody else's circumstances. You become willing to hear about their struggles, to contemplate their struggles, to have empathy for their struggles, to think about their culture, to see that everything doesn't need to be done the same way, to really start to understand their lifestyle. We begin to educate ourselves. That's what we do. We open ourselves to educating ourselves about other people. And when we do that, our vantage points stretch and expand. And we become so much more aware of the person that they truly are. And when we do this, we open the gateway for agape love. We just open a floodgate for them to feel loved and accepted and understood. And all those differences just seem to fade away. They just seem to go away. So what if we don't agree? So what if we have different political ideas? Doesn't matter. You're still created in the image of God, and so am I. So I want to encourage you this week to begin to see people differently, to begin to recognize their true essence, to begin to recognize their importance, their value, to see them how God sees them, and to love them and accept them and tolerate those differences. They're not that big of a deal. Now, I just want to remind you, like I told you last week, that doesn't mean we tolerate hate. This isn't about that, okay? This is about tolerating differences of opinions. It is not about tolerating hate. We are called to stand against hate, to oppose it, to protect people who are being attacked. That is the call on our life. And what you're going to find if you allow yourself to expand, if you allow yourself to see a bigger picture in other people, you're going to begin to understand them in a way that makes you want to stand for them. It will cause you to have an empathy rise up inside of you to where you don't want to see them marginalized and hurt any longer. So tolerance actually brings about the intolerance for hate very naturally. So I just want to remind you of that. We are never called to hate. We are never called to tolerate hate. We are never called to tolerate injustice. These are things that should absolutely be stood against. So I want to encourage you this week to take some time to step outside of your comfort zones, step outside of your box, step outside of your own understanding, and step into somebody else's world. Try to reach out to somebody and understand them, to see them, to hear them, and to see things from a different platform. And you know, if you're not able to do that physically, I understand. It can be difficult to just go out and meet somebody who comes from a different culture and lifestyle than you and just tap into their lives. That's okay. God will naturally bring people into your life if you're open to this process. For now, why don't you start with some books? Why don't you start with some movies? You know, there's so many movies out there that portray lifestyles and cultures that can really help us understand. And you know, I actually watched a movie this weekend that I'd like to recommend to you. It was called Border Town, and J-Lo is in it, and it was really good. And I think you should watch it because you know what it's going to do is it's going to reveal to you the culture in Mexico, what women face there, the atrocious, violent, vile things that they have to go through, absolute violence, and how horrifying it would be to have to live through that. And women live through it every day just on the other side of the border, that close to us. So I want to really ask you to maybe take some time and watch that movie and think about it. When you watch this, maybe you'll understand on a deeper level why people would seek asylum at the border, why they would be rushing for our help, and why God says so clearly in the Bible that our arms should be wide open to them. We should be the first to embrace them and protect them and get them away from that violence and that hatred that is slowly but surely putting out the light in their life. We need to be the ones. So I just really want to implore you this week to go a little deeper in your contemplation. Think about it. Think about becoming willing to understand other people, becoming willing to see other people for who they are, and go deeper into understanding them and understanding their struggle. When you do this, I guarantee you, you are going to walk in your calling of agape love. It is going to evoke empathy, sympathy, and compassion toward these people, and it will change your paradigm. I guarantee you. So I hope you'll think about that this week. I hope that you'll watch that movie, and I hope that you will really come to a place where you really start to take these mindsets on board and you start to forgive and you start to accept and tolerate, because it's what you're called to do. So with that, I just want to encourage you, if you haven't yet, to get my book. There's a link down below that you can order it, and I think that you will really enjoy the book because it's going to lead you through all of these topics and so much more thought healing. And you're really going to come to a place where you begin to understand your calling of agape love in this world and how you can use your talents and your gifts to impact people around you. So I hope you'll get it. And also subscribe down below before you leave. Click that subscribe button so that you will be notified when a new video is up, when a new meditation is up. And that's it for now. That's it for this week. So I hope that that touches you. I hope it takes you a little deeper into understanding why tolerance is so important. And until next week, peace and blessings.